Hello everybody and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program, where we're working on our space shuttle here, and it's mostly functional. However, we definitely need to work on the aerodynamics and the landing portion of it. It was functional enough to do our mirror program, but for now, we definitely are going to need a more functional shuttle than this. So we've got a couple of things that we want to work on. First things first is that this servo is not actually attached in any meaningful way whatsoever to the rest of this arm. So I want to make sure that that is correctly attached. So for now, we're going to pull it on out of there, and we're just going to place the arm, rotating that around. We're going to place that right on top of there like that, and then we'll put this whole mechanism right back in here. Now the arm should be correctly attached, and it indeed is. So that's one problem solved. Now we've got the aerodynamics issue. Now this is going to be a bit tougher of a problem. Hang on. Get out of here. This is going to be a bit tougher of a problem, specifically for me. Other people would probably have an easier time with this. But I want to, for now, let's just save this quickly, and we're going to detach the big orange tank. We're going to detach the launch stability enhancers, and we're going to be focused just on the shuttle here. So first things first, I want to get the center of mass and the aerodynamic overlay. And we can see it's fine-ish. I want to move down the tail to about here in theory. And I want to think about moving the wings down to about here. Now, I think that we're a little long on our shuttle. We could think about ditching one of our rocket fuel fuselages here. That is a theoretical option. So that would mean doing something like this. That's definitely more proportional. It will result in having less fuel later on, but we'll also carry less fuel, so we'll have more in the big orange tank. I think broadly that's reasonably fine. I want to put these guys back on in mirror symmetry mode here. And now I want to reattach this. That does not need to be in symmetry mode in the slightest. So we're going to reattach that right about here. And that should do the trick for now. Okay, now one thing I want to also think about here is I've got this reference collage here that I'm working off of a little bit. We can definitely see that this wing is more curved and it goes up significantly higher. No doubt about that. No doubt about that one. I'm also looking, there's definitely a gap here in the big orange tank. Okay, noted. So we have a broadly similar setup here. It's obviously not exactly the same, but it is certainly broadly similar. I want to let this thing fly, and let's see how much delta V we have in orbit. It's still going to require a spacewalk in order to adjust our engines. I'm not sure there's much we can really do about that with the limitations of KSP. I mean, there probably is. There's probably a way to solve this, but I don't think there's anything I'm going to do about that. We'll probably just have a spacewalk, and that's not the end of the world. So for now, that's reasonably fine. I think what we're going to do is we're going to try a quick orbital flight here. What we need to do is be working on our land landings. So we're going to bring this around in a quick orbital equatorial flight, and we'll see how this goes. So we're going to throttle up, SAS on. In fact, we're just going to go to kill-rot, or rather surface up, and off we go. This should be a little bit higher on the thrust to weight, but we have broken our staging. Okay, yeah, that's definitely a problem. Let's revert this back real quick here to the vehicle assembly. I just feel like this is a little short now. I don't know. It kind of isn't. I want to try it, but we need to fix our staging. So first things first, we're going to move these down, moving this down to here. These decouples basically happen at the same time that this does. And then, yeah, the rest of that is reasonably fine. So we'll save that, put that back out on the pad. We're going to go to a low orbit equatorial orbit because we are testing re-entries at this point. So we need to get the shuttle operational and fully operational for space station construction. That is the goal here. Now, the ISS is going to be built with a combination of at this point, Russian and American parts, right? So we've got the space shuttle here. I feel like the space shuttle is maybe a little bit short now. I don't know. I'm looking at the number of segments that's in this image. So we can see 1 segment, 2, 3, 4, and then the engine compartments are like right here, right? So there's 4 total segments there. So if we look at this, we can see this is functionally 2 segments, and that's 4. So, I mean, that does make sense. Although there's definitely lumpy bits here, here, and possibly on the other side there. We could maybe emulate those with tanks, but that would be some mass offsets that would cause us potential issues. For now, we're going to throttle up, SAS on, and off we go. Okay, it definitely wants to kick us over that direction, but once we get going, we are able to get that under control. So that's certainly noted. Let's see what it feels like for... Ooh, this doesn't really like to gimbal all that much. Okay. Noted. Let's just bring this back to up. That's very interesting. I think our angle might be a little bit too much now. We might have to reduce that current open angle ever so slightly. Because we did move some mass from here. So there's a little bit more mass, or rather the mass center would have been moved over this direction, right? Well, let's just bring this on up. I wanted to get some amount of horizontal speed here. This oscillation is not great, although it is getting under control over time. So that's certainly noted. Okay, this is much more controllable at this altitude. Cool. For the time being, let's go park at 45 degrees. No, I don't actually want to be going back to up, thank you very much. Let's go park at 45 degrees. And we'll just be at kill rot for right now. And we're just pushing our apoapsis right on up. We're going to keep carrying these solid fuel boosters with us for a while. Although we may want to still have them have a separate actuation event. Okay, so they're going to be burning off very, very shortly here. There we go. And let's take this over to horizontal velocity up. Okay, so we're not holding attitude here, like, at all. Once those are turning off. So that's a significant differentiation, no doubt about that. That said, we're almost able to hold attitude. So this is almost certainly because our mass distribution changed on us. Right? Yeah. That's definitely what we've got going on there, is that mass distribution change. Well, this is exciting. Okay. For the time being, let's revert that back. That's definitely going to be a bit of an issue. We could simply extend this back down. But I want to think about this. So our current mass distribution is here, right? And it would be pulled this direction. Right. So this actually needs to be a more extreme angle, I think. I did not mean to grab that. I meant to right-click on it like this. So we would set this to an angle of perhaps 20 degrees. Let's see if that changes this flight trajectory any reasonable amount here. We're mostly interested in the recovery right now, but of course we have to be able to get into space, and we definitely did see, I think, that we were a little bit under-angled there with our shiny new mass distribution. So let's do this for now. That'll be fine. We'll throttle up, and we're going to put ourselves at up, and let's see how this goes. I do want to split these back out over here. That extra 5 degrees of gimbaling does appear to be helping some. There's also this strut here, which I think is kind of an awkward one. We might move that strut. We probably should, actually. This is feeling a lot more stable. So yeah, I think that was just our mass distribution changed, and so we needed our thrust direction to change slightly as well. Okay, so that's absolutely fine. We're just going to be heading straight up for now. We are seeing our horizontal speed very slightly increasing, but it's probably going the wrong direction because of our thrust vectoring. For the moment, that's okay. The real question now is, how is this re-entry going to go, though? That's the real question at this junction. And these are simulated for the time being. I want to point that out. I'm completely fine with reverting these right now. These are all development flights, so that's okay. 18-kilometer apoapsis, 19, and 20. Cool. So let's bring this on down this heading. This is definitely a lot more stable. We, of course, want this to be on kill rot here. Cool. It does pick up some roll. There's no doubt about that. There is some roll in here. So that's noted for the time being. I want to get us a decent amount of altitude at this point, and I don't recall seeing this overheat. This was in the last flight, but this wasn't in the previous ones. This is probably due to the fact that these aren't up as much. Almost certainly. We're able to hold attitude here. That looks good. Let's go to horizontal velocity up, and we'll see how that gimbaling goes. Seems okay. 70-kilometer apoapsis. We're going to take this only up to about an 80-kilometer apoapsis. We are seeing an oscillation here on the roll, which doesn't really shock me. So let's bring that up to 80-kilometer apoapsis for the time being. We can see time to apoapsis is actually increasing. Maybe we should target like 85. 84 and 85. Okay. So we'll bring that right on down. At this point, I do want to ditch these, if we can safely. Let's find out. Safely-ish. We definitely don't want to collide with them much faster than this. They're going to, like, roll off of our wings as it is right now. So that's reasonably fine. Yeah, and then they're just going to bounce right on off like this. This is okay. It's not great, but it's okay. So at this point, of course, we're going to need to get some apoapsis going here. We need to get a lot of horizontal speed, right? No doubt about that. So we'll circularize this on up. The burn is going to be starting in about 24 seconds. We will align to the node here. And we've got about 20 seconds here. I'm concerned about our angling right now, but we'll see how this feels as we burn this fuel out. We might lose the ability to actually hold attitude. We'll see. This is a significant mass change that we made to the shuttle. So 3, 2, 1, 0, mark. So for now, we're able to hold attitude, and we did indeed clear our SRBs. That's good. There's certainly a roll that this picks up. Definitely. So I think this needs additional strutting. I think that's the biggest issue there. Most likely. We're going to need quite a lot of additional speed. I don't like this roll situation. But we do definitely need to get ourselves a good amount of horizontal speed here. So let's let this burn through, and we'll see how we do holding attitude on this node as we continue to have the mass transfer over. That's going to be very interesting. So we're down to about 500 meters per second left in this burn. It's definitely an awkward burn, but that's to be expected given the directionality of our engines, right? We're not actually shocked about that in the slightest. This shimmy is not great. Not great at all. But we are about to achieve orbit here. Okay, this is good enough. So we're going to call that good. Our orbit is a little awkward here, no doubt about it. But that's fine. We'll just go to kill rot for the time being. And how much do we have left in this? Okay, a reasonable amount of Delta V. But to be honest, we're going to be bringing this thing home. So, I think that a lot of this problem here is simply the fact that, well, A, we have offset thrust. We know that that's an issue. An additional issue is that this thing does like to wiggle around. I want to work on it strutting a little bit here and there. That needs to happen. But for now, we're going to be ditching our big orange tank. We've achieved our target orbit, which is the roll of this. And we're going to be heading down and seeing how our landing ends up going. This is a real test to see how the aerodynamics are with it slightly shorter. I'm hoping that that will do the trick. We'll find out. So for now, we're going to ditch this guy. And away we go. We are, of course, going to need to have Bill EVA because we need to switch over into vacuum mode. So we need to come on up over this direction, and we need to move a couple of parts. So these struts are what need to be moved. So that can go there. That can go there for now. This can go here for now, and this can go here for now. Then we're going to hop back in. We're going to set our target angle of 0. Perfect. And now we're going to replace these struts. One here. We just want to make sure that this holds in its space configuration, right? So then we would put one up here. And finally, we would put one over here. That did not work. Okay, we just put it in here. This is fine. So something along the lines of that. Cool. So we're now configured for space rather than launch. Perfect. And we're going to hop back in here. So we'll need to exit Kerbal construction mode, and let's hop in. Excellent. So we're configured for space at this juncture. We've got 1746 meters per second here. Of course, these delta wings are empty. We don't have any liquid fuel in them. That is to be expected. At this point, we would be looking to land. This does look a lot like landing on land if we were to bring this down. We're currently here. Okay. So let's go around to surface retrograde. Let's get positioned for that, and we're pretty much going to need to be landing very, very soon here. So we're going to go for a pretty steep re-entry. I want to do a lot of testing on how exactly this is going to work. So this is a very steep re-entry, as we can see, but we're going to be able to glide in theory. That's the idea anyway. We've got a lot of mass from fuel in this still, but we'll see how that ends up going. Let's get ourselves oriented for this re-entry. As I said, a very, very steep re-entry. So I want to be at horizontal velocity plus here. And let's bring this on down. And we'll see how this goes. So mostly I just want to kill rot right about here. So slightly above the horizon is the goal. We're going to physics warp until we start to see significant effects from that. We are going to have to alter this periodically, and I want to make sure that we're relatively flat. Physics warp makes that kind of complicated. We'll just do something kind of like this. Cool. We're down 20 kilometers. Okay. I want to be seeing the actual aerodynamics, so I want to bring this down not necessarily under significant physics warp. Cool. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to convert this horizontal speed into vertical speed and have losses at the same time, right? So we're trying to make sure that we hold this attitude basically right here. Now, this is going to want to go up, 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 which is why we're on kill rot. And we're just going to bring this right on down. So we can see our vertical speed is decreasing, and we can see our horizontal speed is also decreasing. That's a good sign. Less good of a sign is this heating, but it should be relatively okay. Now, we want to make sure that we're holding attitude around here, or so. We don't want to be coming in at too steep or too shallow of an attack here. But we'll see how this goes. That vertical speed is looking a lot better. We don't want to convert all of our horizontal speed, though, which is a lot of the issue that we've been facing previously. So we're just going to bring this right on down. I'm just adjusting our heading here and there. We're going to try a land landing here. If it goes horribly, we will revert this. I'm just mostly feeling out the aerodynamics right now and attempting to determine what this actually needs. We've not done significant actual testing of the landing portion of this yet. So we'll see how that goes. We've also got an eclipse, which is kind of cool. Excellent. So we can see we've dropped our vertical speed down by about half here. Ooh, that was pitching nose down too much. Oh, okay. So I attempted to pitch us down a little bit differently. Let's bring this over to horizontal velocity up. We'll see if MechJeb is able to do that. Okay, so we lost attitude there, which means that this is not an aerodynamically stable shape. We can definitely work on that. This is more aerodynamically stable than the previous shape was. There's no doubt about it, but we're not quite there yet. I think we need to adjust the positioning of the wings, most likely. We'll take a look at that. For now, we're going to bring this around to horizontal velocity up. This is the core issue right now, is that we need to be able to have attitude for the actual landing, right? We're able to get the attitude by bringing our parachutes, but we don't actually want to be pulled around with the parachutes. We would like the parachutes to be deployed after landing. So we're just trying to make our way over to horizontal velocity up for the moment, although we can see that our speed is relatively low. We're nose down right now, which is not really what we want under any actual circumstances here. Yeah, we can see the vertical speed going up pretty dramatically whenever we are not in an aerodynamically good state here. But now that we've gotten the feel of this aerodynamic shape, I think that we can probably make some alterations to this thing. I'm going to put us on kill rot for the time being, and we might actually need to kick in the engines a little bit here. Keep in mind, this is not intended to be a powered landing. Okay. So the engine goal there was just to get us brought around to being aerodynamically going the correct direction. That's definitely noted. But yeah, aerodynamically, we want to be going butt first here. And this is probably because of our weight distribution. We have a lot more weight back here than we do up here. And that is something we might want to consider. For now, I'm going to get these parachutes out. As I said, I don't really want the parachutes out at this point. We want to have more horizontal speed than vertical speed, because we want to land this thing like a plane. So, there is that. That said, the parachutes do pull this around pretty nicely. And the idea is that we would come in like this, although not necessarily with these trees. We definitely picked up a bit of a roll there. Okay. Yeah, these trees aren't ideal, obviously. Well, that was intriguing. That was definitely an intriguing way to land. So it's very true that this thing definitely survives a lot of landings and a lot of really bad landings. But I want to revert this back to vehicle assembly here. It was a good test, no doubt about that. So I'm relatively content with the launch profile of this, even with the slightly different mass distribution. I think it's okay. It's workable. We can throttle these down if we need to once we get a bit higher up. That's fine. The thing that isn't so fine at this point is definitely to do with the aerodynamics and center of mass. So taking a look at our aerodynamics here, we can see this is our aerodynamic center. And when we detach this, we're here right now. So we want generally to be slightly behind, but I think we're too far behind at this point. So we might want to move this up to be about here or so. That might be a slightly better position for us. Now, I do want to not... hang on a moment. Okay, I completely broke this. There we go. I do want to turn on our aerodynamic overlay here. And I want to move these back up where they were. So they were about here or so. That'll be fine for now. Then, What I wanted to do is I want to adjust this strutting. So we've got this strut down here that is connected to like this engine that should not be connected there. That was previously connected to the fuel tank. We want to make sure that these struts are pretty solid here. I would also like, for the time being, to put in struts here and here, just to make sure that we're connected like that as well. Okay, so that will probably be a better aerodynamic situation. We'll run some tests and find out, but it is time to put a cut in here, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And next episode, we're getting very close to finalizing our shuttle design. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Shadow Wolf, Andy McGar, Spartan News, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, Soccerman12 UK, Kentogan, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.